Hello there. So today I'm out on a walk with my dog, Soul, and I listened to this podcast, the Andrew Huberman Podcast, and in this one particular episode, he had Dr. Karolina Westlund, who's an ethologist, on, and they're talking about dogs and dog behavior. Of course, we'll put either a caption on the screen or maybe a link in the description that lets you know exactly where you could join in, listen. You'll be able to hear the things that we're responding to. So that way you kind of get the full context. Listen to the whole podcast. I did, at least 2 times. It is long, but there's a lot of good stuff in it, and it's good and it's very thought-provoking. The first thing we would like to talk about in this podcast, definition of dominance.
We're using the sociological definition on animals in a way that's, I think, unfortunate. Because the ethological definition is about priority of access to resources. The dominant individual will have priority of access to that resource. The others simply have to wait. It's normal that animals who hang out together will have some sort of dominance hierarchy. It tends to become exacerbated in captivity compared to in wild contexts, because then the animals can disperse and there's a resource over there that they can go and get instead.
Now, the ethological definition of dominance is the dominant individual is the one who controls resources, while the sociological definition of dominance really has to do with controlling others more than controlling resources. It's a very small line there, but there is quite a difference. Now, as a dog trainer, and the way I think of dominance is that I believe dominance is the control of resources. We don't allow our dogs to hunt. We don't allow our dogs to gather their own food. Meaning that if we don't feed our dogs, they will actually starve to death, right? So when I go to the store and I get a bag of food and I bring it back for my dog and my dog eats it, I'm doing an act of dominance. I'm controlling that resource. I do not allow the dog to go get their own food. So because of that, every time I feed them, I'm showing dominance. Right? Because dogs are living with us, because dogs are captive animals, captivity, right? Captivity is a huge sign that we have dominance over resources, but also over the individual. So we have both kinds of dominance when we bring a dog in to live with us as our pet dog. A pet dog is a captive animal. A pet dog is a captive animal. It's an animal that we have captured and that we bring them in and we have them live under particular situations. A person in jail is a captive person, right? That person, they have no ability to go to the store and get their own food. They only have what is there and what is presented to them, right? And that is society being dominant over that person. Do dogs know that we are dominating them? I don't think dogs think about dominance at all. I don't think our pet dogs think about that. I don't think that's a concern for them. I know a lot of dog trainers out there. It's like, well, your dog is displaying dominance over you. Yes, that could be a thing where the dog can be dominant over the human, but the dog is dominant over the human the way that the grass is green. They don't think about being dominant over the person. They're just controlling the environment. They're making it so that the person can't leave the house because they scream, right? When the dog is doing that, and making it so that way a person is like, you know, I can't leave my house because my dog screams the whole time and my neighbors will complain. No point is the dog thinking I'm going to be dominant and control this person's space and control their ability to leave, come and go. You know, what the dog is experiencing, they're experiencing some kind of anxiety that causes them to scream. But I don't think that they're doing it in a way where they are like, hey, if I get you to stay, I'm controlling you. Instead, they're thinking, I don't want to be alone. So I don't think that dogs understand dominance the same way that we do, and I don't think that they think about it like, hey, this person is dominant, this person is stronger than me, this person has more control over things than I have. I don't think that dogs are thinking of it that way. Okay, so the second thing that I find really interesting in this podcast.
I don't know if this is true. I'm sure someone will refute this, but the idea that, if your dog runs up to you when you walk in, or a dog runs up to you and it's a new dog you're just meeting and they touch you or they jump up on your shin, that it's their attempt to dominate you. Like, this is my space, I'm controlling you. That because you wouldn't necessarily walk up to a dog that you just met and just get right in their space without kind of them approaching you as well.
So, first of all, the dog would have to think that they're being dominant for them to be dominant towards us. That's what they have to be thinking in order for it to be an act of dominance, in my opinion. If we stop them from jumping on us when they want to jump on us, in other words, we control the space and say, hey, you can't do that, then that is an act of dominance in the way I see it. But if a dog is excited to see you and jumps on you and you move away, they can start to understand that they can control space by using jumping. And if they're controlling space by using jumping, then that is an act of dominance. Why do dogs jump on us? They don't jump on us when we come home because they want to be dominant over us. They jump on us because they're excited to see us. They're happy to see us. Maybe deep down inside, they're doing a puppy behavior. We know domesticated animals have a lot of young dog behaviors, and the puppies stay home while the adult dogs hunt. How do the adult dogs bring the food home to the puppies once they're ready to start eating meat? What they do is they put it in their bellies, they eat it, and then the puppies jump up and start licking their mouth, and that stimulates the dog to regurgitate the food. Maybe our dogs are jumping up to try to get us to regurgitate food. That might be a possibility. So there's a bunch of things going on there. Another thing that they start talking about, if I approach a dog and the dog moves away from me, then that dog is being submissive, or is that dog being fearful?
If the dog backs away when you confront them, I would sort of rather label that as perhaps a fearful reaction, not submissive, as in giving you priority of access to a resource.
Andrew thinks, or it sounds to me like Andrew thinks, that if a dog moves away, then they're being submissive. And I tend to agree with that. I don't like to prescribe fear just because the dog moved away. The dog has to show more than that in order for it to be fearful. And a lot of times in this day and age, in the world that we live in now, we're quick to prescribe fear to the dog. Where everything is fear-free, where we're thinking like anything that happens, the dog will become afraid. And that's not necessarily the case, right? If I step towards my dog, you're gonna tell me he's afraid just because I stepped towards him right there and he stepped away? Here we go again. I stepped towards him. Is he afraid? No, he's giving me the space because I'm walking into it. He understands social space, right? There's a thing called too close. And he will give up that space to me when I walk into it. Is that fear? No, I think it is submission. He is submitting the space, right? And submission is not a bad thing, especially when you're dealing with a captive animal. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is this idea never goes away.
I have heard this, that when you walk your dog, that your dog should be next to you or behind you. Very few dog owners actually walk with their dog behind them. If the dog walks in front, does it mean that it somehow is the leader? I mean, are humans just completely wrong about all this stuff?
This idea never goes away. I don't know why it never goes away, but this idea of the one who leads is the one who walks in front is the leader. The one who eats first is the leader. The first one through the door is showing dominance because they are the one who could get through the door first. For me, the way I think about that, yes, technically, if you walk in front of me and I'm following you, then you are leading me. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're the leader, because if I tell you from behind to turn left and you turn left, right, then I'm controlling. You could be in front and I could still be the decision maker. That will make me, in a sense, the leader, right? Why do dog trainers say that dog owners should walk their dogs next to them or behind them? I don't know why every dog trainer does that. I do it because in order to get a dog that walks at an average 12 miles an hour to walk 2 to 3 miles an hour, so that way they could be next to you or behind you, that requires communication. It requires the dog being willing to engage with you and to do what you're asking them to do. And most of the time when we're dealing with dogs and dog behavior, it's really the dog has a problem where the dog is reactive, or the dog pulls on the leash too hard, or the dog plants himself on the ground and refuses to move. In those situations, we want to get the dog cooperating with us. So we ask them to walk in a particular position, right? In that situation, I am not necessarily thinking that I'm being dominant because I asked the dog to walk behind me. I'm saying I want the dog to pay attention to every step and make sure that their 12-mile-an-hour average walk never passes and gets to 12 miles an hour. It gets to 2 miles an hour and they stay behind me, right? If I can do that, then I have some control. So now when they see another dog, it's going to be easier because they're already restricting themselves. That is what a lot of that walk behind stuff is about. It's about getting the dog, at least with me, it's about getting the dog to, on every step, pay attention to us a little bit, so that way we're able to influence their behavior when emotions hit and other things hit, right? Who eats first, who walks first, all that stuff doesn't mean dominance. The dominance is in who makes the decision. Okay, so next thing that we would like to talk about, the final point here, is the dominance hierarchy between dogs and humans.
Dogs form relationships with us, but as far as I know, from the ethological perspective, we have no role in a dominance hierarchy among dogs. They know that we are different, and they will respond, they will learn to expect that if in this context, that will happen. In that context, that will happen.
What she's saying is that dogs don't see humans as part of their dominance hierarchy. I don't know if I agree with that 100%, right? Yes, dogs can tell that we're different than they are, but at the same time, dogs have the ability to accept other species into their families. Whether it's horses, whether it's cats, whether it is other dogs, well, that's the same species, whether it is us humans, monkeys, we've seen dogs interact with all sorts of different species and accept them as pack mates, as members of their family. And in a family with social animals like dogs, there's going to be dominance. That has to be that way because somebody has to control the resources, or then there's going to be consistent fighting. Another way we could kind of look at this or kind of analyze this is what happens in a family when there is, parents, children, and dogs. How does the dog see the family in that situation? A lot of this has to do with structure again. Is the child responsible for the dog? Generally, no. Does the dog have to do what the child asks them to do? Generally, yes, right? So although the child is not responsible for the dog should do what the child requests of them. The child has a higher rank within the family than the dog does, and the dog can understand that. If we watch how dogs act with children, we'll notice that dogs tend to want to be around adults more than they want to be around children. They will play with children and but then they will come and they want to hang out with adults. They follow mom around the house. They follow dad around the house. They don't necessarily follow the children around the house, right? They seek for attention more, it seems, from their adult human family members than they would from the children the things that they need, the engagement, enrichment that they need. They seek it out more from adults more than they seek it out from children. They will play with children to a certain point, but then they will stop. So that's another way to look at it. Okay, so if you like this kind of video where I respond to podcasts and other canine professionals and other people who are thinking about behavior and dog behavior, let us know in the comments. We'll be glad to make more videos like this for you. I got a lot out of the video. I know the comments can be what comments are. We know how we are here in North America. Nobody's ever happy with anything and loves to agree with everything. And so that's good.